So, Feligami. Personally, I absolutely adore this ship. I think it has to be one of the best ones in Miraculous, hands down. But I know that a lot of people really disagree with me. Well, I feel like it's more like everyone, because literally every video I've seen, every comment I've read about them has all just been negative. So anyway, now I'm here to explain my side and why I like them so much. Obviously, I just want to put this disclaimer in. This is just my opinion. If you don't like Feligami, even after watching this video, that's totally fine. That's your opinion. I just personally like them, and I want to explain why. I know a lot of people say that Feligami is a terrible ship, and the reason they don't like it is because she's quote-unquote only dating Felix because he looks like Adrian. Which, like, yeah, I can totally see where you guys are coming from. They are literally identical, but I actually disagree. She's dating Felix because he's Felix, the type of guy she's been in love with this whole entire time. Adrian was never truly the one Kagami was in love with or even wanted to be with. It was always Felix from day one. And here's why. Kagami never fell for the real Adrian, but a version of him she created in her head, a version that is quite frankly the complete opposite of who Adrian really is.
Pose for me. I want to sketch you.
How do you want me to pose?
However makes you comfortable. This isn't right. It's not you.
Can I see it?
Try a different pose. It should be easy to do a beautiful sketch of you because you're so handsome, but what I want is to capture the real you inside.
To kind of break down this clip a little bit more, Kagami tells Adrian to pose in a way that makes him feel comfortable because she wants to capture who he really is in the drawing. He does a few modeling poses at first, but then Kagami says to try something more natural, more you.
No, still not good. Change again. These are all modeling poses. Try something that's more natural. More you.
What about meow?
So obviously he does his cat pose, because as we all hopefully know by now, Cat is more of who he really is. When he's Cat Noir, he's free, he's not being controlled by his father to be whatever image that Gabriel wanted. He's just being himself. Which explains why when Kagami told him to do something more natural, he instinctively just went to the cat pose, because that is more natural to him, that is more him. But Kagami says, no, that's you and you're being silly, basically saying that when he's joking around, that isn't the real him. But obviously, it is. Adrian even says that himself.
I mean, now.
No, you're not at all natural.
Yes, I am. I promise. This is me.
No, that's you when you're being silly.
What if when I'm being silly, I'm really me?
And so, the fact that Kagami didn't see that or even believe him means that she never actually really knew him. And well, if you're in love with someone but don't really know who they are, then that means you never liked who they really were to begin with, because obviously you never knew them. You probably just like a version of them that you created in your head, a version where they are perfect for you. Their personality is like exactly what you've always wanted. That's why you think that you guys fit so well together, because, well, who's gonna create a version of someone that doesn't really fit you? Which sadly is exactly what happened with Kagami. That's why she didn't believe him when he said that that side of him was the real him. That silly dorky side of him wasn't a part of the idea that she had created, so when it started showing up, she didn't like it, or believe that that was who he really was. Which just goes to show how opposite that version is to the actual Adrian. And the reason that I'm talking about this is because, well, if you ask me, Felix is the opposite of Adrian, and because she thought Adrian was the opposite of who he really was, that means that she basically fell in love with Felix when she fell in love with Adrian, if that makes sense. I guess just like Felix's personality is the definition of what Kagami's thought Adrian's was, and since that personality is what she fell in love with, that means that she actually fell in love with Felix from the beginning. And that's why I believe Feligami got together so fast. She realized that she had been going after the wrong guy this whole entire time. Felix and Kagami have always reminded me of each other. Like, sometimes when Felix says something, I'll be like, wait, that's totally something Kagami would say, and vice versa. Like, from the start, I've always said that I would ship Kagami with Felix before I shipped her with Adrian, just because of how much they are alike and how unalike Adrian and Kagami are. I don't know, Felix and Kagami just kind of like give off the same vibes. I would describe Kagami as serious, fierce, impulsive, reluctant, stubborn, blunt, dedicated, strong-minded, and thoughtful. She's just a very sweet girl, but has a hard time communicating and expressing herself. She's not afraid to tell it how it is, no matter what, even if she hurts someone. However, she's never trying to, like, intentionally hurt anyone by saying that stuff. She's not really the best at comforting people or affection, but she is very good at taking others' feelings into consideration when it comes to the people that she cares about. Which is literally exactly how I would describe Felix. He's not good at expressing himself, and because of that, he comes off as quite villainous. He's a very tell-it-how-it-is kind of person as well, except I think he's a lot more blunt about it than Kagami is. I do think that he is also a very thoughtful and determined person. I mean, all he ever wanted to do was free Sentis from their parents, and was willing to do whatever just to make that happen. Knowing Kagami, I think she probably would have done the same thing if she were in his place. I'm telling you, they are like practically the same person. And for that reason, when it comes to them, that's why they work so well together. Most of the time, I feel like it's opposites attract, but for them, it's not. I think that they need to be with someone who completely understands them because not a lot of people do. And no one's going to understand them better than someone who's just like them. I gotta say, one of the biggest reasons why I love them so much is because of who Felix turns into when he's around Kagami. We've only ever seen like one side of Felix before. He always comes off as cold and mean, which is exactly why everyone thought that he was the villain. However, when he's around Kagami, his whole persona changes. He becomes this adorable shy guy, and I just love it. I saw this one tweet that said, "Bro went from cold hard to get to soft can't control my feelings type of guy after taking a 0.1 millisecond glimpse of Kagami while snapping people out of existence." Honestly, I laughed so hard when I first saw that because it's so true. I literally didn't even know that Felix even had a side like that to him. He's always been so cold toward everyone. It was just shocking to see him change when he met Kagami. But I'm honestly here for it. I prefer the kind of guy he is when he's around her. She really brings out the good in him, I think. Lastly, which is probably one of the biggest reasons that I love them so much and I ship them a lot, is because I think them being around each other could be really beneficial. They could change each other for the better. Because, like I said earlier, they understand each other in a way that no one else does, so I think because of that, it could allow them to loosen up a bit and just open up. Not to mention, Kagami has become a part of the friend group, and since Felix is dating her, she'd probably bring him along as well when they hang out. And that alone, I think, is probably one of the best things that could ever happen to Felix. He could get to know everyone and even make a lot of friends, which is really good for him because I think Felix has a lot of trust issues with people. That's why he's been so cold around everyone, and maybe him being around so many good people could really help him with that. Let him bring his guard down, show him that most people are really good. They aren't out to get him like people in the past were. And I also think that it could make him feel not so alone anymore, just like it did with Kagami. I don't know, I just really love to see his character develop more from here on out now that he's dating Kagami, because I feel like it really will.